Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to show you how to make a navigation bar using Tailwind CSS and Next.js. Okay, so the very first step we're going to do is we're going to create a Next.js project. I'm going to do that by using my command terminal. And we're going to cd into the folder where I usually keep all of my projects. And you can follow along with this process if you go to Tailwind CSS and their docs. So the very first step is we're going to create a Next application, and we're going to do the latest version, which is Next.js 13. We're going to go to the terminal, copy, paste it. We're going to name the project Navbar Practice, and then enter. It's going to ask you a few questions here and prompt you. If you want to use TypeScript, I'm just going to put no. If I like to use ESLint, I'll put no as well. Would I like to use the source directory? Or it's going to be, do you want to use the app directory? The app directory is the new thing for Next.js 13, or the source directory is what everybody's used to. So I'm just going to put yes for this, since this isn't a Next.js 13 tutorial. It's just a navigation bar and how to create it. So would I like to use the experimental app directory? I'm just going to put no. And then I'm just going to press enter again. It's going to create my Next.js project. It was a success. So we're going to cd into the project, which I called it Navbar Practice. And then I'm going to do code space period. And this will enter me into my VS Code editor right here. Okay, after the project's been created, we're going to install Tailwind CSS. You can just follow the docs step by step. I'm going to do them real quick. So we're going to be on step 2. We're going to copy and install Tailwind CSS, the code. I'm going to open up my terminal inside of here. Copy, paste it, enter. So first, we're installing the Tailwind CSS. Then we're going to initialize Tailwind. Enter, and this is going to create a Tailwind config file right here on the left side. And then that's what we're going to have to go in next. We're going to go in here, and we're going to have to add stuff in the content array. So we can just copy and paste all this light blue stuff here. And we are using the source directory, so make sure you do copy and paste that as well. So we're just going to replace it right here, and then paste. Perfect. You can keep the app directory. It's not a big deal. It's not going to break your project or code. And then next, we're going to go in the global.css file, and we're going to actually initialize Tailwind CSS inside of CSS files, and so that we actually could use it in our application. So everything in the global CSS, we're going to delete, and we're just going to copy and paste these 3 lines of code here. After we're done with that, the Tailwind CSS process is done. So we're going to test it out. We're going to run the dev and development. So we're going to do npm run dev. It's going to open up on a local host, usually 3000, but mine's 3001 because I already have something else running. You're going to see this page. It usually doesn't look like this, but since we deleted some stuff from the global CSS file, that's why some of the stuff looks missing. And we're going to test the Tailwind CSS, but first let's go into the pages folder, and then we're going to go in the index.js, and we're going to remove everything here. We could even remove the head. It's not a big deal. All we're going to have is the fragments. So make sure you keep the 2 fragments, the opening and closing. And then we could go back to the Tailwind CSS file, and we could copy and paste this to test our code to make sure it is actually installed correctly. So there you go. So the Tailwind CSS, the syntax is actually inside of the JSX, like as shown. Instead of actually creating a class name, all the stuff we want is right here. So it's easy to view. And if you're new to Tailwind CSS, it does look like it's going to clutter up your code, but you do get used to it. And I feel like it is a lot easier and better to code because you can actually see what's going on with every class instead of going from file to file. So this does look like it works. If I remove underline, As you can see in the code, underline was removed. So the CSS is working correctly. Okay, now let's set up the app and actually the Navbar component inside of our project. Go to the base layer of your files and folders, and we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it components. And then inside of the components, we're going to create a new file called navbar.jsx. And then I'm going to do RAFCE, which is going to create a React functional arrow component instead of typing the code itself. And then I'm going to go back inside of the index.js, and this is going to act as our home page. We don't need the styles anymore, so we can remove that import. We don't need the image right now, at least. We could leave the next font Google, the enter. That's just Next.js. And then we're just going to remove the hello world. We'll remove the H1 as well. And then we're going to import that component navbar inside of the index.js. And now it's going to pop up right here. And it'll auto import it for me. So if it didn't auto import for you, make sure you import the navbar. Now we're ready to design and create our responsive navbar in Tailwind CSS and Next.js. Okay, so let's actually start getting into customizing and creating the navigation bar. So all we have right here is a single div. We're going to take that out and we're going to put a nav HTML element. And then we're going to start styling this. And this is going to be the baseline of our navigation bar. So first we're going to add fixed, because we want it always fixed at the top of the screen, no matter how we scroll. The width is going to be full. The height will be 24. And so we could actually see the navigation bar. We're going to have a shadow of XL. And if we look over here to the right, I got to spell it right. We look over here to the right, you could actually see the navigation bar taking its shape. Tailwind CSS is also mobile responsive first. So we're going to check mobile, tablet, and desktop. But Tailwind is pretty good with sizing them how they should be without us doing much legwork. And we're going to have just a background of white, even though it's already white, just to make sure. Okay, so the navigation bar, we're going to have right here on the left a logo. And then on this right side over here, we're just going to have the menu list. It's going to be a simple navigation bar. You can style it how you want, but that's how we're going to create this navigation bar. And then when we're on the mobile phone, we're going to have a hamburger menu here at the top right. The logo is still at the top left. And then when you click the hamburger menu, a different menu is going to pop up from left to right. And it's going to have the menu list items as well. And then you should be able to close it with the X. So let's create this and kind of set up the baseline. So first, we're going to have a div that's going to cover the left and right. It's going to be on the outside of the left and right side. Then we need two divs inside of this. So we could do div times 2. And this will be left side. And then this will be right side. And they're going to be on top of each other because nothing has been styled yet. And if you do want a left side and right side right next to each other, all you got to do is just type in class name flex, and it'll make it as a flex row automatic. So we're going to style this div that's surrounding the left and right side. So let's do that first. First, like I said, we're going to add flex. So it's going to go side by side. We're going to justify between, which means we'll have one on the left and one on the right. There you go. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to have the item center. But then also it's not going to move anything because we need to make sure it's taking up the full width and then the full height as well. So the height full, it should go to center. There you go. And then width full as well. After that, we're going to need padding because it's right here up against the side on the left side and right side. So we need a px of 2. So it gives a little padding on there. We could actually do px of 4. And then on 2XL screens, we could do a px of 16. And 2XL screens is doing a media query. if the minimum width is 1,536 pixels. So we do all of our media queries in Tailwind inside of the class name. We don't have to do @media queries. So it makes it really simple. Like I said earlier, people don't like Tailwind because everything seems so disorganized in a sense. But after you start doing it a lot, you actually start liking it. And I actually do enjoy this a lot better than just regular CSS files. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have the left side. So we don't need a div. We could just do the image tag. And the image tag is written like this in Next.js, and it needs to be imported at the top. So that's what we just did there. And I'm just going to copy and paste all the attributes that are within an image tag. So you need a source, you need an alt tag, you need a width, you need a height. A class name is optional, and then priority is optional as well. So we need to actually import the logo, which I already did inside of the public folder, and it's called logo.png. So we need to import it into our file right here. / public, it's in the public folder, and then it's called logo.png. There we go. So as you can see, that's how the logo is on the top left. And then we also want to make it clickable. Even though it shows cursor, we want to make it clickable where it goes back to the home page. So we're going to wrap this with a link tag, which we have to import it from next/link. And it is going to be an href. And we're just going to go right to the home page. And we're going to wrap this link over the image. So now every time we click this, it should just go back to the home page. Okay, now we're done with the left side. Pretty simple. Now we're going to work on the right side. And the right side is just going to be a bunch of unordered list and list. And the inside of that, we're just going to style it. And we're also going to wrap each listed item with a link. So instead of me writing it out real quick, let me just copy and paste whatever you wrote beforehand. And I'll explain it as well. So within this div, which was on the right side, as you can see, we have unordered list wrapping all the listed items. And then we have a link tag surrounding the listed items. And each listed item has a class name with different attributes. So you could either do margin left or margin right, depending on which one you do. And I'm doing margin left of 10. And that gives the spacing between all these menu lists. Or you could just go in the unordered list and do a gap of like 4 or 5 or 6, whatever you think looks best. And then also we made sure it's uppercase. And then also if you do a hover semicolon, so that means every time we hover one of these listed items, which is YLS, we get a border at the bottom. So as you can see, you get a faint border at the bottom right there. And you could change that border's color, the width, how far down it is, etc., etc. So we're going to keep it like that for now. And the next thing we're going to do is right below the right side div, we actually want another div right below that. Reason why is because we actually want to now add the hamburger menu, which is only going to be shown on mobile screens. So I'll show you how to do this, and it's very, very simple. So first, we're going to have to use a library called React Icons. Pretty popular and pretty well known. I already downloaded it. As you can see here in my package JSON, it's right here, React Icons. All you have to do is press npm install react-icons. And then we're going to use this one over here. We are going to use import curly braces AI outline menu. And this is actually the hamburger menu from React-icons. And then we have to go into a folder, and it's AI. Since those are the first two letters, it's always like that. So /AI, And I created the new div down here. So that means I'm going to actually just copy and paste what I already have here. And there you go. As you can see, the AI menu outlines there. And we're getting an error here because I have a handle nav. So if you want to click on a button when using React, I mean, this is basic right here, is you have to change the state of the application. And the only way you could change the state of an application using React functional components and functions is by using the useState hook. So let's just import that real quick. So import curly braces useState from React. Okay, so now we could use the useState hook. And for every time we click on the AI outline menu, we are going to call the function handle nav, and it's going to be an on click. Okay. So we're going to have to create this function right above the return, but inside the nav bar. Handle nav. And this is going to be a const. We're going to make it an arrow function. And then inside of the arrow function, we need to change the state. So we're going to add state here. And the state is going to, you should name state based on what you're actually doing with that state. So we're going to pretty much open and close the menu or navigation. So we could call it like this. We have an array and we put menu open, comma, and then set menu open. This equals useState. And then we need an initial value inside of this parentheses right here. And it's going to be false because we don't want the menu to be open, which is going to be the mobile menu. So the set menu is actually going to change the state of whatever the menu open is. So every time we click the handle nav, which is going to be the hamburger menu, we're going to set menu open to the opposite of menu open. Okay. So if the first time we click it, it's going to become true. And if we click again, false, true, and then false, true, and false. It goes back and forth. So now we have no errors on our screen. Everything looks good. And the way we're going to get this not showing, like you can see, you don't see it here, right? The reason why is because I made sure on mid-size screens and up, we gave the attribute of hidden. So that means you just can't see it all. If I scroll the screen down though, you're going to see it. But then you also still see this as well, which we don't want to happen. So we're going to have to change that as well. And then inside we could do it right here. So the div actually covering all of the listed items here, we're going to have a class of hidden, and it's going to hide them for now. But then we could do on small screens and up, we could do this as a flex. So this means it's just going to show again as a flex row. And then we could change this to small screens as well, which is 640 pixels, which is good for mobile menus. So if we scroll back down, that should be hidden. And then there's the menu right there. Perfect. If we look at it here, that's how it looks on a mobile phone. Looks pretty good. Okay. All right, so that's the navigation bar. Now we're going to work on the mobile side, and then we should be done here with the navigation bar. I hope this isn't taking too long and you're not bored of me talking. But if you're getting any value out of this, I would really appreciate if you could hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. I'm going to keep coming out with videos 2 to 3 times a week, especially front-end videos. So if you like that, definitely subscribe. But let's get back to it. So next, we're going to have to create the mobile menu. And we're going to do that right below the div that's encompassing pretty much the desktop. So we're going to create another div right down here, but still inside of the navigation because we do need a parent element. And then these are all children. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to do a ternary operator. So that means if this is true, then you do this. And if it's not true, then we do this. So for a class name, we could do curly braces, which allows us to do a ternary operator inside of our class name. So menu open, which is our only state right now. So we're going to say if menu open is true. So let's space this out even more. If menu open is true, which is the question mark, we're going to have this class right here. We're going to keep it fixed. We're going to have a left of 0, top 0, width is going to be 65%. On small screens and up, we're going to have this hidden because this is a mobile menu only. We're going to have the height of screen because we want the whole thing to come out completely, showing the whole screen. And then we want a background that's a little darker than the white. And that's going to be ECF0F3. Bang. We're going to have a padding of 10. And then ease in, which every time it comes in, it's going to ease in. And then we're going to have a duration of 500. And that's 500 milliseconds it takes to come in. Okay. Now it's still giving us an error. The reason why is because if we do a true statement with the question mark, we need an also a false statement. So if it's not true. So if it's not true, we're going to make sure it's off the screen, the mobile menu. So let me copy the class real quick and paste it. It's still going to be fixed, and the left is going to be negative 100%. So it's going to be all the way on the left side, negative 100%. The top's still 0, the padding's 10, and we still want the ease in and stuff to come in smoothly as we go in and out. So we're going to test this out real quick. So we have the mobile menu here. And like we said, the initial state of this hamburger menu is false. If we click it, it'll become true, which will activate this class right here that we just created on this line right here. So let's try it. Bang. See, it's a little darker. It takes up 65% width. The height is the full screen. And if we click this again for now, it should become false. And then it'll become this class right here. And it'll go all the way to the left, negative 100%. So that looks good to me. That's good. Let's separate this out. And then we also, okay, so we're going to work on this. Let's work on this real quick. So when this is open, we need an X right here, usually at the top right, so we could exit out of this navigation. We're going to have the listed items again. And then we're just going to also do some social media icons as well right down here. So I'm going to copy and paste some of this, and I'm going to also explain what I'm doing when I do it. So the next thing we're going to do the first step right here at the top right, which is going to be the AI outline close from React icons. So we're going to do AI outline close. There it is. So it's imported, and now we just got to use it. So we're going to have a div right below this, and then another div inside of it. So as you can see, it popped up right there. And then inside of this div, the first div right here on the top, we're going to have a flex. Width is full. So the width is full of this. Items will be center. And then justify end will create this all the way to the end like it is right now. And then inside that, we're going to have AI outline close with the on click of handle nav, which will change to the opposite of whatever it is. So if this is open, it's obviously true. It's always going to change it to false. And then the cursor is going to be a pointer. So there we go. So we go like this, this. So there goes the mobile menu working perfectly as it should. And then the next thing is we need all of our list of items right here, which is like the about, the home, the contact, the services, etc., etc. So we're going to have another div wrapping all of that with the UL on order list. and the listed items within there as well. So it's going to be right below this. Right below this, but inside of this main div right here. So as I copied all this again, we have this main div, and we need to create this main div as a flex column. Because if you don't do this, they're just going to be side by side, left and right. We need to make sure that the home, the about, the contact, and the services is in a column. So that's why it's flex column. And then we have a padding on the top and bottom of 4, which is 16 pixels or 1 rem. And then also each list of items also has another padding on the top and bottom of 4. And you could also do gap. Gap will do the same thing, or padding. Either one works for you. And then each listed item will actually close the menu. So it's going to take you to the page, right? Because it's surrounded by a link tag. So whatever it is, so this could be slash services. This one will be slash contact slash about, and then home will be slash. So it'll take you to this page, and then it will also set the menu open to false, because the only way you could click these is if it's true. So we're going to set to false. So you click one, closes, but this page can't be found because we haven't created the about page. So there's that. And then the next thing we're going to do is, which is the last step, is we're going to have social media icons right down here. And that means right below, let's see which div. So we're going to have it inside of this div still, and it's going to be below this div. So we're going to have another div right here. And that means we're creating content in this space right here. And we're also going to use React icons. And I can just copy and paste this div, and then I'll import all the icons we need. So we're going to have AI outline Instagram, AI outline Facebook, and AI outline Twitter, each with the size of 30. And then it's going to be surrounded by a div with the class name of flex. Each one's going to be in a row this time, so straight across. Justify around, which means it's going to have each space, even on the ends, pretty much the same even spacing between each thing. Padding top of 10, and then the items will be center. And let's import these because that's why we're getting an error. So we're going to have AI outline, is it Instagram? AI outline Facebook. AI outline in Twitter. Okay, so no errors now. I'm going to click this, and there's our icons right there. You could also change the colors. You could literally do whatever you want to it. Tailwind CSS has a lot of features that you could definitely use. And let's just make sure that that's everything I want to do. And then I guess after that, we can add our logo again, because that makes sense. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Let me actually take the logo from up here. So we're going to copy the logo again. And then we're going to paste it right below this div, which is this, into here. And there we go, Westwood Media. And then we can do a class name, padding top, let's say 8. And it moves it down maybe too much. Padding top of 6. That's pretty good. So that should be it for the navigation bar. Now we have a fully responsive navigation bar. That's for an iPhone 12 Pro. That's how it looks. Let's look how it looks on a tablet. So iPad Air looks pretty good. iPad Mini looks pretty good. And also too, like on an iPad Mini, if you want everything in one line, you could just change the text. So what is this, 768 pixels? So you could go up here, and then in each listed item, so this is going to be for the YS, you could do a text, let's say small. Let's see how it looks. So it does move the text down, but I also have text XL. So you just got to mess around with the class settings to get each thing right, but we'll just keep it like that for now. Looks pretty good. Nest sub max looks good. Let's just do responsive. Everything looks pretty good. So this is your basic navigation bar. Should take you about 20 minutes to create. Maybe this video is a little longer, but it's pretty simple to do. I'll put the code down below in a GitHub file in the description of this YouTube channel. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Just ask them away in the comments section. I'll get back to you hopefully within 24 hours. I'm going to also come out more videos, and I'm going to try to create a website around this navigation bar. So like I said, please subscribe and also like this video if you got any value out of it. And thanks for watching.